Hello, this is Lance Cleveland, author of the Store Locator Plus plugin for WordPress. I'm going to go over some of the things that have been patched in 4.3.08, which was released today, September 14th, 2015. So most of these patches are things people will not notice. One of them has to do with PHP set timeout. There is a setting that will work on certain servers, this PHP time limit. Most servers, especially if it's a shared hosting environment, the default is set to 30 seconds, and that's how long a PHP process can run before it terminates. So if you're importing large lists of locations, then this will possibly prevent it from importing the list if it cannot load all the locations in less than 30 seconds of runtime on your server. So this setting was put in a while back, and it allows you to change that default. The problem is that most hosting companies add something to the PHP ini file, that's the configuration file for the PHP scripts, that prevents you from overriding the system default of 30 seconds. And in those cases, some of those systems were throwing out a warning message. That will not stop Store Locator Plus from working, but it will show up on some screens depending how you have your environment set up. It also will set warnings to log files, which can slow down the server. So this has been addressed in 4.3.08 so that the code behind this feature does not send out a warning. It actually checks to see if that feature has been disabled on the server and doesn't even try to run that code. So that's in 4.3.08, and there will be updates to Janitor and ProPack that take advantage of that new checking. So some other updates, also things that most people don't see. There is sites that are using plugins that are not designed well. They're not designed with WordPress best practices, that are forcing a specific version of jQuery to be loaded. Now jQuery is what I use to drive the map and process all the queries and send data to and from the server. It comes with WordPress. The version of jQuery in WordPress that is required for Store Locator Plus is version 1.7. Now that's been part of WordPress core since version 3.3. So for more than 2 years now, jQuery 1.7 or higher is included in WordPress core. There are various plugins, there are site settings, themes, things that people are doing to force jQuery to run an old, outdated version. That is not the proper way to implement jQuery in a plugin or in a WordPress environment, but some people do it. Store Locator Plus now checks the jQuery functionality, something called callback. It's a class or object that's needed in jQuery for the advanced features of Store Locator Plus. Store Locator Plus now checks to make sure that's available, and it will fall back to a compatibility mode. And what that means in layman's terms is that if you are using any of the advanced features, especially Premier plugin users, like pagination, cluster maps, location influence, those features will not work. So it fails silently. It will actually put something into the console log. So for people that are familiar with the technical elements of JavaScript debugging, if your site is using Premier plugin and some of those features like cluster maps are not working, you'll want to check the console log in jQuery and see if there's a message here from Store Locator Plus saying you're running an outdated version of jQuery. So that's another patch that's been put in. Most people won't see it. Some sites would actually break if they were using old versions of jQuery, and this will now stop those sites from breaking, but newer features will not work. So that's what happens there. So another patch that is in this release, on some installs, when you brought up the info bubble and closed it, it would show a little X somewhere on the map. That is a CSS rule that's been fixed. The CSS rule was put in because, again, there are plugins and themes that are manipulating the styling of the images on the map, and they're far too aggressive in their styling rules. I added a rule to Store Locator Plus a few versions back, since before 4.3, that would force the map images to render even if a theme or plugin was overriding the map image rules for CSS. Well, it turns out my patch to try to fix poorly designed themes and plugins created a side effect of leaving the X on the map. So short version, the X's are no longer there, If you upgrade to 4.3.08 and suddenly your map's not rendering fully, it's getting truncated, weird stuff starts happening, it's likely because of that CSS rule, so you may want to check. If you need to, email support@storelocatorplus.com and we can tell you what rule change was made, and then you can search through your WordPress theme or other plugins and see if something's forcing the Google Maps CSS incorrectly, and we can fix it there versus breaking Store Locator Plus to try to work around that. So the last thing that was fixed was something in results layout. This was actually a patch submitted from one of our users. And in results layout, if you are using the SLP_option shortcode and you're seeing some odd things happen since you upgraded to 4.3, then it is because of a patch that's coming out in 4.3.08 that fixes it. So there's an SLP option. You could do something like label website, and there were various modifiers like these wrap equals full span, and there's a BR modifier and things like that. So there is a patch that fixes the SLP option shortcode if you're seeing some oddity in the rendering. So those are the things that are fixed in 4.3.08. For most users, they won't see any major functional changes. These were all corner cases, little odd settings here and there that some people are experiencing. So 4.3.08, those are the patches that are out today. As always, we're looking through support forums and emails and trying to do as many patches as we can in a week. I'm trying to be on a weekly heartbeat for the releases and patches, and I'm trying to focus on patches only, not new features, for Store Locator Plus and all the add-on packs from this point forward, other than the Premier add-on pack. Also, if you need help, please try to use the forums and go to your info, plugin environment, and paste this information or a screenshot, at least the top part of this, if not all the way down to your PHP version down here. Try to get that information to the forums. It saves us a lot of time. Also, please, if you have a public website, post the URL for the locator page. That way we can just click on the link in your forum. We can learn a lot of information about your site by doing that. So paste the URL, paste your plugin environment, saves us a lot of steps. We can be a lot quicker in our response and being able to address your situation. If you can't post in the forum for some reason, you can write to support@storelocatorplus.com, but the forums are the preferred method for getting support. Thank you for supporting Store Locator Plus.